Go your own way, stones and shadows bite, willows whisper of darkness deep and wide. In the forest, there is no place to hide. Strange paths. Tonight I fear that I will not survive the dying of the light.
This is somewhere near the end of The Dying of the Light, a series from the Starfall Collective. The Starfall Collective is a collaborative storytelling group creating rich and compelling stories in a fictional world we've been developing together for a while. You can find out more about the collective as well as the stories we're telling at thestarfallcollective.com. In our previous episode, the party at last has gotten somewhat comfortable with their strange new friend Zevek. They have set out from the Black City, one and all, heading for the headwaters. They did it by route of going to the border river between Garatone and Simdaron. When they arrived at that border river, Talid left the party, taking the children and the infirm and the caretaking women and mothers and such, and some of the men, as well as the Menowin wayfarers, to Oravan to try to kill all of the nefarious Oravan, Talid's extended family, for their participation in the Iron Bell's diabolical deeds. The rest of the party has continued to move north on the Simdaron side of the river. They are traveling north. They think it's about a day's journey to whatever the headwaters is. None of them knows, nor are there any rumors. The dragon has only said a little bit about it. He has said that he dares not go himself for fear of being overpowered. And it's been many, many, many years since he, saw it or anything, since he went in that direction. Diamondback, you also know that Arasanala has only a vague idea of it. It has, she has seen it, but again, it was many hundreds of years prior, and she doesn't know what the condition is or what any of it meant. So a quick digression. Well, let's do this. We're back with a new episode. Let's go through who's in it. Talid, as I said, has left the party to do his own affairs, to handle those. Let's start with Belvari. Oh, and maybe I should say, and let's focus on the upcoming arrival at the headwaters. Is going on and what you think you'll do and so forth. Belvari, you might be muted. How about you, Pat?
Hey.
Oh, wait, that's Belvari. That's Dwight.
Hey, I'm Belvari. I am anticipating an interesting time at the headwaters. Maybe get my feet pumice and sit in some hot springs. No, I think
skin.
Yeah. Eat all the dead skin. No, I am. I can't remember exactly where I was in my progression. It's been a little while, but I am enjoying being in this front group that is not near what's his head with the magic
Zedek.
suppression. Zedek. Old Dr. Z, as I like to think of him. But yeah, feel relaxed and easygoing. It seems like not much is bothering us as we hike.
Okay, yeah, that's true. You have not seen anyone, man or beast, except for an occasional squirrel or a couple of undead that were no big deal, considering the relatively high level of your party, as well as the fact that you're traveling with about 150 armed and able men, a dragon, a big ancient copper dragon, and a lich.
Religious.
So, yeah. Okay. How about you, Aaron Joy?
All right. Playing Nitto. She's mostly hanging back in the back of our column, I suppose, with near Zedek. Um, she's she's really uncomfortable with the most dangerous part of our party, like evilly dangerous, being the first people that are going to interface with the headwaters, whatever are there. Um, and she's uncomfortable with the idea that there still isn't a camaraderie between the front of the party and the back of the party. It seems it's just crazy talk that we're heading into a war being of like two very different compositions and not even trying to get along. Just, you know, vicious, nefarious, death focused people being trailed by people who would rather shut down all the magic. Um, yeah. So that's where she's at.
Okay. How about you, Pat?
Hello, I'm Pat. I'm playing the half-orc Toll, and I think being a half-orc, he's hoping for a fight, and this is probably the largest group of people that weren't enslaved that he's ever traveled with. So he's thinking it's going to be a barn burner.
Okay, and Josh?
Hi, I'm Josh. I play Inkatink the Kinku, who has many voices, but not one. Inkatink is probably feeling some of the same consternation that Nino is. He's had several moments where he's had altercations with Yoshka, where they have not seen eye to eye, but at least everybody is weapons in hand on the road heading towards the same fight. And so I think at this point, Inkatink is thinking about his family that he has lost. He's thinking about the multiple times now that the city that they've fought so hard to make a home out of, about its assault by the Iron Bell, and he is prepared to see this through to the end. I think he's even, made peace with whether or not he's going to see his ancestors and all that good stuff. He is truly ready for an opportunity to end this. So,
All right. How about you, Matt?
Hi, my name is Matthew Talamini. I'm a writer and web developer based in Providence, Rhode Island, and you can find my stuff at MatthewTalamini.com. The shirtless wizard Diamondback. Diamondback is mostly feeling extremely tired. And there's in-game mechanical reasons for that. But also he's been actively fleeing from forces trying to kill him for the last several months, I think. So he's sort of like one of those dead-eyed, thousand-yard stare people, soldiers in World War I or something. It hasn't stopped yet. It might never stop. People die all around you all the time. We're just trying to get through this to the end, and then maybe we can start to pick up the pieces and live a life.
Okay. And finally, Jared.
Hey, my name's Jared. I'm playing Yoshka, who is ready to die or kill, and now thinks very differently of his father. And what it means to lead.
Like what?
Well, Yoshka was never looking to lead exactly, but he had this idea that being the leader means you get to call the shots or choose. And it has turned out very different than that.
All right. That seems fair. So before we go on, a couple of quick things. One is a lightly out of story just statement to you all. I have said this before. I don't know if you remember, but I don't know what's going to happen from here. I didn't always know what was going to happen, but the pieces of this game are in play, and what goes on from here is almost completely up to you guys. There are also pieces in play that you don't know about, as well as the ones you do, and then how you interact.
Things we don't know about?
One or two.
What?
For the first time, I thought I'd throw a curve. So yeah, I have not like strongly scripted some particular story here. There are lots of ways I could see that something could go, but I'm also very open to this going a different way. But I'm looking forward to it. So give me a little grace, if you will, if I have to figure out how to describe things that weren't on the path that one of the paths that I had foreseen, because I'm going to let y'all really, really do the stuff you want to do here as we are close to the end of the story. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Just fine.
Just fine. Okay. So anyway, that was just what I wanted to tell y'all. And also, Jared was telling me before we got back on that he wanted to have a conversation with Belvari. Yoshka wanted to have a conversation with Belvari back in the Black City. But in order to expedite movement in the previous episode, he deferred that, but he'd like to know if we could rec on that. I said, sure, sounds good. And he said, probably it's not going to impact what has happened already. So, in the last episode. Why don't we start there? And I will say y'all have marched for a good 6 hours north of Oravan. You would guess that you have maybe 18 hours left to go, and it's getting dark. But we're going to, Yoshka,
Flashback
as they
to-
walk, thinks back to the conversation he had with Belvari. It went kind of like this.
While everybody was gathered up around the dragon and trying to make plans to go, and probably having heard the conversation we ended up having, maybe it would have come up around when Belvari was saying like, "Hey, why don't we stay here and defend?" Yoshka would have tried to find a time to maybe when other people were talking among themselves, step aside and to Belvari say, like, step real close to him, and maybe if enough other people are talking, so hopefully nobody can hear, and go real close and whisper, "Hey, if you go to Garriott and get water breathing magics, you can take the underground river straight to Dasan. It's the one at the grate by Miradow's section. You can just leave."
Where is Dasan? What is Dasan?
That's where we went. The river will take you there.
Why would I want to go there?
There's no iron bell, no horrible monsters. You can just live your life in peace.
That sounds terrible.
Yoshiko looks at him confused. What? We are going to the biggest city. Don't you hate cities?
I don't know. I don't want to go where there's no magic.
But you won't die. You can live.
I'm living here.
I suppose Yoshiko would look at him and say, "So that is how much you love magic? We are going to face the greatest danger we could face. You would die to have magic?"
Yeah.
Okay. That's all.
All right. Okay, so coming back to the future, Matt, I texted you the thing we talked about the change, any change to Diamondback resulting from his experience with death. So if you look for that, you can see it. And let's get into it. You're about, like we said, about 6 hours march north of Oravan. You are on the Simderon side of the river, and you wouldn't exactly expect a lot of beasts here because you're going further and further towards the Iron Bell, and they patrol this part really well. However, there are also not as don't like it, so it's just forest. Your guess is, as it gets to late dusk here, that you are 18 hours approximately, you're just guessing, walking up the side of the river to get to the headwaters, whatever that is. And you would be staying in a little bit from the edge of the water, probably. I'll let you decide if you want to, but you would be staying in a little bit from the edge of the water because remember that the main way that Iron Bell go up and down the territories is by ferry boats on the water. They do that to take tribute, send them back upriver, back to the headwaters to, slaves and beasts and magic items and whatever else. So if you wouldn't want to be seen, a large group of you, you know, going up and down this river. The dragon is not flying overhead. Generally speaking, he is going through the forest with you, kind of winding his way through the trees. He could fly over the canopy, but you wouldn't be able to see him, and he wouldn't be able to see you, knowing where you are, that kind of thing. So he's just going slowly with you guys.
And scouts would be able to see him coming.
Yeah, if there was anybody looking up over the canopy from far away, they would see that. So everybody's more or less on the ground, enjoying the cover of the canopy. And then finally, just to say, your marching order is Diamondback, you and your cadre, that is Belvari, Toll, Inkatink, Arasanala, and your acolytes are up in the very front. Behind you guys are the 150 fighting men of the Black City. And then trailing the end of that at no like great distance. Oh, I'm sorry. And the dragon is more or less alongside the 150 men. And then trailing behind, not too far, is Zevek, who, you know, is within sight of the men. Yoshka, I think you're in the same area as Zevek, as is Neno. The most recent thing you saw was, well, first of all, y'all have come to understand that there seems to be no magic within about 300 yards of Zevek. So that's quite a distance in one way of looking at it. He has no idea. Through the trees, through all the stuff, he cannot see any magic. He still doesn't quite know what you're talking about. The one very peculiar thing that he knows about your place, besides the trees being so thick and everything, is when he walks in the water, it sizzles and, you know, bubbles and burbles, and seems to evaporate. A large quantity of the water seems to evaporate. However, he has discovered, y'all kind of with him, that when that happens and the water leaves behind him, after a way, it sort of regains its volume when it leaves his sphere. It seems to, you know, fill back up, maybe with mist or something. So there you go. It's getting to be nighttime.
I suppose if we guess it's around 18 hours to the headwater, if we've traveled 4 more hours towards it and then slept, we could get if we could get to the headwater after dark tomorrow.
It's true.
Does that sound desirable?
The Diamondback contingent is happy for the Yoshka contingent to plan such things.
All right, let's try it. Let's do it. So after some parlaying, I suppose, back and forth between the two, we coordinate to move on. And you had just said, Matt, could you remind me, you and Jacob had planned out like a route and had some thinking about, like, what was it, like not traveling by the river? Not traveling right along the river or something?
Oh yes, I mean we're not taking the most direct route because we don't want to run into the army that's coming towards the Black City from there.
Right. Okay.
Diamondback's whole idea is that we're taking a circuitous route to avoid them.
Okay. And I suppose, how are we set up? For navigators, do you have navigational type of people in your group
We have a
that would be
Belvari.
kind of plotting that out?
Neno also is very good at understanding her direction. She has gained some experience with that.
Presumably, we have the skillful navigators have gotten together and plotted a course,
Okay, cool.
and
That
that's
is-
the
that is
course that
not-
will take us 18 more hours, right?
Yeah, that's right. That is not
Okay.
a dangerous. Sorry, you're not in any significant danger of losing your way because the river goes up to the headwaters. That's the lore you know, is all rivers go up to the headwaters. So
Yeah.
as long as you are able to like go out in one direction, see the river, come back, you can say, hey, we're still next to it.
Yeah. Sounds good. Well, let's do that. Let's continue 4 hours past dark.
So yeah, you march for a little while, and there are a normal amount of small animals, birds and squirrels and things, and nothing undead. This is the Simdaron side of the world.
And it probably feels better to most all of us. Aren't we all from this side?
Yeah, the Saracon people are also here. And all the players are from this side. The Saracon people are also here and are essentially bewildered by this sort of pastoral serenity of this place. They see no meaningful danger. Everything is brighter and lighter and whatever. The color of the leaves here, you'll remember in Garatone there were a lot of heavy mosses, a lot of darker greens and so forth in the trees. The ground cover was this like rich, really dark soil from both water and also this sort of animation and reanimation and re-reanimation of all the ground creatures. Here, though, it is a brighter place. They don't
It's
exactly.
like their version of plowing.
It's a brighter place. They don't exactly know what to do with it, but they're pretty happy to see it. Everybody else was from either here or Weira being very similar in sort of feel, the townsfolk and everything. So you march north.
Can we describe too? Arasanala
Mhm.
is out in the open with the players up front, or how is that set up?
She's wearing. She is out in the open, and Diamondback, correct me if this is different than what we had talked about, but I believe she's out in the open, but also is wearing kind of regalia that make her look, majestic or at least impressive. She's completely covered. She has a hood. She actually has two hoods. One is this sort of snakish hood that covers her form if she wants it to. Those of you who have glimpsed her can see that she has arms and legs and full humanoid features, except that those are attached to a long snake body that's a good 15 17 12 15 17 feet long. So when she doesn't want to, she can tuck her arms, and when she doesn't want to walk, she can tuck her arms and legs and slither like a snake, or rest her legs on the ground and is humanoid except for that. The hood she has, like a cobra's hood, is around her, almost like a cowl, and two is covered with a layer of cloth. She's wearing what appears to be pretty nice fabric, clothing, cloth that forms. It wouldn't quite be right to say a gown, but it wouldn't quite be wrong either. It's a gown worn by a snake, used by a snake, but filled out in a woman's form as well.
I would be interested to hear how that experience with the players unfolds, because I know when we at least encountered her ghost, she was frightening to a number of us and left her mark on Toll. And Toll's with her now.
Belvari and Toll, would you either of y'all want to talk about what that is like?
I was not afraid of the ghost, and I'm not afraid of this lich. She seems to have been cowed by Diamondback.
Oh,
Toll would probably downplay how profoundly his experience affected him, but above table, all the players know he did age somewhere around 10 years, and that was apparent. So it did a number on him.
Yeah.
hmm.
Fortunately, the
he's
Snake
better off.
Clan has an incredibly robust HR playbook that has some really good team building exercises. So we've managed to get through most of that. So,
Are they trustfuls?
mhm,
And I
mhm.
think the acolytes have been undergoing religious training in Snake Clan dogma and ritual, and so they will. For them, it would have been like a cultic religious experience to see their deity up close for the
Mhm.
first time. Up until that moment, they had not been allowed into her presence.
Right.
And you were worried about them seeing her. Can we, I don't know, just hear how that plays out and what their reactions are or something?
So
There aren't any significant. It just seems significant to me that she's being
Oh
seen
yeah.
by.
No, I'm actually
She
curious
doesn't let
about
them
this too.
She doesn't actually let them look at her form like from the front. They see that she's there, but she, like I said, she's clothed. She's really, they can tell, but they don't actually like see her face or anything. She's keeping herself reserved. Diamondback can talk directly, but he sees her like a gentle breeze passing before him. But the others only know.
You shall
her.
not see my face,
That's right.
but
So-
as my glory passes, you shall see my back.
And
I mean,
she only addresses Diamondback.
I'm a little curious about that as well because it was not Diamondback's idea to keep her away from everybody. So, she has changed her policy to allow this degree of familiarity that's currently going on. And Diamondback himself is probably scared and not sure quite how to deal with it.
Roll me an insight check, Diamondback, and do it with advantage
Ooh,
because you've been doing this thing really well, really closely.
20.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you actually have a decent sense of this. You're not like 100% sure, and you haven't brought it up. If you feel like it might be better not to exactly, because it could seem like questioning in a bad way. But basically, when she first told you that she didn't want to be known at all, there were a couple of reasons. One was she had some things for you to take care of for her that your guess is that based on her previous condition, she had a certain level of vulnerability that she doesn't exactly feel right now. And two, she was not overt, but pretty clear that the main reason she was trying to be secretive was that she was concerned about the coven being aware of her. Based on what's currently happening, the coven is going to be aware of her. So your best read on this is it's not so much that she was trying to keep herself from being seen by random people that she couldn't care less about, as much as the risks she was avoiding, the dangers she was avoiding, have been somewhat obviated by the course of events.
Okay, that's definitely a realization for Diamondback, because he had previously been under the impression that she would kill them if they came near her. Possibly
She
because of
probably-
those initial experiences, maybe with Tull almost getting killed.
She would have gone to, well, I'll say not great lengths for her, but she would have had no problem if she found out that somebody knew of her, making sure that nobody knew of her. But that said, these, peons don't warrant any action. Plus, she's aware of the value that they provide to you and the value that you provide to her.
Great. Real quick, can I have an egg-shaped sphere of black stone from her. Can I real quick find like a pebble on the ground and cast continual flame on it?
Sure.
And I can like open up this egg, right? That's sort of the point.
Yeah.
So I'm going to open up the egg. I'm going to put the pebble with continual flame on it inside the egg, close the egg. The continual flame is a flame equivalent in brightness to a torch springs forth from an object that you touch. It's on my shoulders as well. The effect looks like a regular flame, but it creates no heat and doesn't use oxygen. Continual flame can be covered or hidden, but not smothered or quenched. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to...
Sorry, real quickly. And this doesn't change anything, but Arasanala has given you a set of components. One used for... The egg will close, but it'll close and become like a really seamless sort of single piece of stone by itself, because the black stone heals that way. She has given you a set of components that she figured out that will cause those seams in the black stone to reopen. So that's how you open it. You have to use that set of components.
Okay. And I have some number of these in like a pouch.
Yeah, enough.
Okay, awesome. And then I am going to use so I'm going to go back a little ways from my group with Inkatink and Belvari and Arasanala and the skeletons. My whole retinue goes on ahead of me, and I stay off to the side of the path a little ways. And I'm going to use I'm going to wait until I think that the group coming up behind us is less than an hour away from reaching where I am, which they're not that far behind us. Are they an hour behind us?
No, the range while we're traveling is only like 300 yards, right? The anti-magic field is only 300 yards in radius.
Yeah.
Okay, in that case,
and they were like 2 or 3 times that. So 10, 20 minutes.
So definitely not an hour, like 10 minutes or something. I use my shadow touched feature to make myself invisible, cast invisibility spell on myself while I'm still in my group. And then I go and I wait off to the side of the road and let them approach.
Okay. 1 second. I'm just going to check something real quickly here. Okay. As you stand off to the side and you wait for them for a few minutes, several minutes pass, and as you are there with your little black egg with a pebble in it that has continual flame, that all happens, and you find yourself, you fade quickly back into existence, and you're visible again.
Okay.
Oh, hey, Diamondback. Yoshka says.
Greetings, Yoshka.
Garriott was just telling me about scrying. If I was thinking Zevik is a hole that cannot be scryed in. He takes the hole with him. If you want to remain hidden from scrying, you could come in his hole as
Interesting.
Been
There is one member of my party who will not go within that anti-magic field. I will
Two.
stay with her. Oh, two. Diamondback's not thinking of Belvari when he says this. He says, "Thank you for the consideration. I appreciate the tactical foresight." And then he before he goes to rejoin his group, he says, "When all this is over, maybe life will be normal again." Oh, where'd they go? They vanished.
Maybe they really don't like abnormal life or normal life. I don't know.
Hopefully they'll be back. I apologize to
This has
our
been the dying of the light.
our many
It's
many
dead.
viewers on Twitch and YouTube
Twitch. Mhm.
for the fact that we just lost somebody. They'll
Hey,
be back
Josh,
soon.
do you know that you sort of bear a passing resemblance to the new senator from Pennsylvania?
Who's the new senator from Pennsylvania?
Oh, I don't know. I've just seen his picture a bunch.
Are you talking about Fetterman?
I think so.
I don't think he looks anything like John Fetterman.
Well, we're both bald and have some hair on our chin. We both have strong eyebrows and deep-set eyes and enormous foreheads.
Y'all are bald and have facial hair. And that's
Basically
the only resemblance I see.
Yeah, his forehead is.
Hey,
Josh has a much more oval head shape,
Hang on,
and
hang
Fetterman
on.
definitely has one of those pentagon heads.
Yeah.
Can you make your skull like wider on top, Josh? By like a couple inches.
Now I see it.
I can't say anything or it'll be hate speech if I try to do an impression of him. I mean, the man's a brain injury survivor,
Yes,
so
y'all hear
do that.
I can't do that. I won't do that.
Sorry, when did you drop?
Doesn't look quite as much.
we heard y'all the whole time. I just reloaded the page.
Oh, so
Gotcha.
Diamondback says to Yoshika as they, before he turns to go, he says, maybe when this is all over, there will be peace, and when we're not having to scramble to survive every single day, every minute, you and I could talk. And then he's tries to get out of there.
Yoshika just watches him go.
When Diamondback gets back to his group, he opens up the egg.
And there's a little fiery pebble inside.
And Diamondback's invisibility is still gone.
No, he's invisible.
Oh, my invisibility came back?
Yep.
Drat.
Minnow scampered after Diamondback while he was still visible and is lurking up front, kind of spying on the front crew. And it takes
Yeah,
her
so
by
maybe
surprise
his
that
ability didn't come back.
Inkatink tries to summon his familiar.
And he does, without incident.
Woohoo! Welcome back, Dracula. Seems kind of stroking him, rubbing his beak on his little fur.
So you arrive. You've been marching still in the night. Are you all using torches at all? Okay, so the ones in the back, sorry, all of you are able to see with your torches, no problem. However, it's the mist is a little heavier here. The people up front notice than they're used to. It's the day has been dimmer and the night is very, very black. When you light your torches, they still work, but they seem, maybe it's your imagination, but they seem to have a little bit diminished range. In the back, those who are within Zevek's area, their torches, they see no mist. And to their surprise, torches burn brightly and light up in a significant area, even at night. You find a place to stop and you camp for the evening. During the night, you have watchmen guarding and everything, but meaningful incidents. You simply, there's occasional little rustling in the canopy or some. Some of the watchmen manage to capture a rabbit or some kind of little animal, and they cook them on the fire and eat it. The rest of everybody has provisions too, but the fresh meat is nice for them. The evening goes without incident. You can't tell. None of you have ever been this close to the headwaters, but there's surprisingly just not much here. You expected it, maybe unconsciously, just to be more full. But you also know that the animals aren't this close to the headwaters, and the people don't like to come here either. So maybe the Iron Bell don't come much. Maybe there's no reason. Maybe it challenges some of the notions you have about how this works. If the Iron Bell aren't here much either, because the people and the animals aren't. It's a curious thing. But
Neno is going to spend an hour of what could have been sleep times exploring around the area, seeing what she sees.
Okay. You do so, and how far do you go?
Inkatink will probably go with her just to provide some sort of escort, protection, companionship.
Okay.
Probably,
which direction do you go?
She'll
Sorry,
probably
not
go,
which direction. What radius?
Only in the direction of the headwaters. 20 minutes northeast, 20 minutes straight south, 20 minutes back to the camp.
Okay. Yeah, you don't experience much. There's the occasional hoot of some kind of bird, maybe a screech of a fox, this kind of thing, but that's about it. Nothing significant. In the morning, everybody has had a long rest who wanted one. Diamondback, you got a long rest. And it is now the very break of light. When you wake, you find that Zevek has been up for a little bit. And for the people who are near him, he has been making some breakfast, some food.
Yoshka is going to go and so he's going to go and give some rousing and encouraging words to, let's see how many I can do this to. Four. Okay, 4 people. So this is a non-magical fighter ability that I picked up called Rally. And it gives Sorry. Okay. Superior die plus 5. Okay, so let's say to well, who's with me? We're like kind of two camps, right?
Nenek, Nena, Zebek are with you, Yoshka, as well as some random other, the people in a radius from you. And then way up north, 20, 30-minute walk.
Okay. So I guess I will do it to like Neno, Zevek, Garriott if he wants it, and then one of the hunters.
Sure.
Do you want me to roll it so you can record it, or?
Sure, yeah. I'm ready.
Okay. So hey Neno. Neno, you get 9 temporary hit points, which last until you
Awesome.
take a long rest. Okay, Zevik gets 11. 9 for, who else did I say? Let's say Garriott. He could use it. And I would love to see the effects of me pumping Garriott up. Well, Garriott, I would do it in some gentle and like sly and gentle as a not above average intelligence person could do. Knowing Garriott and say, you look as good as the day that Yat beat you. I don't know. Ooh, and that gives him 13. I think he took a year off of you when he did that. Let's say.
Gives him 13 what?
Temporary hit points.
Okay. Garriott in particular has never heard people talk the way you're talking. It's as though you've got some kind of very uncommon fighting spirit in you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
And then let's say, because I like his story, the dad of the daughter whose soul we saved.
Techo.
Yeah.
All right. What does he get?
7.
Guess you don't like the story that much.
All right.
Do you mind if I blow this out?
No, please do. Okay. You awake. It is time to set off. You have your basic direction to go. It is early morn, and you are traveling up river, but not next to the river, in a little bit off the side of the river path. You walk for hours and hours, the length of the day, and there's just nothing. There's no sound. I mean, it's not silent. It's quiet here. It's quieter than you would expect the forest to be. There are still occasional birds, but they're fewer than before. There are still occasional, chirps of crickets and things, but not as many as you would expect.
If none of those races
It's getting.
tell how close we are to the other river, to the northern river.
Sorry, say it again.
If Nino goes ranging, can she tell how close we are to the other river? I guess to the southern river. To the red river
So
between.
y'all are the river between Garatone and Simderon runs more or less east-west. Downstream is kind of southeast. Upstream is kind of southwest. Upstream is kind of northeast. Y'all are on the Simderon side of it. So you're on the southern side of that bank. Would you like to find out the
How close we
river
are
on
to the
the
river between Simderon and the
Wira.
place where the major threat was human. I forgot the name of
Between
that wedge.
oh, you mean the sorry, let me say it this way. The rivers, as far as you know, according to the lore that you know, run like spokes out of a center point, a cartwheel from the headwaters. You are traveling along a river that flows southwest. You know that if you walked for a while, and that river is the river between Simderon and Garatone. If you were to walk kind of south and east for a while, you would get to the river between Simderon and Wira. The river that's next to you, though, if you cross it and go north for a bit, you'll get to the other boundary of Garatone, but you don't know what land is to the north of it. So your river is Simderon Garatone. You know that somewhere over to your south is Simderon Wira, and there's another river that's Garatone something else that you don't know what's on the other side. Which river do you mean?
Simderon Wera. I'm trying to figure out how close we are to the hub by seeing how far apart the rivers are now.
Okay. How far do you want to walk to check away from the group? In time or whatever.
I'm willing for 2 hours and then a scampering back for 2 hours. She's really comfortable ranging.
Okay. And is anybody going with you?
You could take the those two hunters
Oh,
from
I could.
and
Garatone.
Zevek volunteers to go with you too. He's interested to see more of the land.
Toll will go.
I'm willing for anybody.
Okay.
Toll might
As long as
not
they can
know
keep
that
up with my
this is
little legs.
Oh, would Toll not know about this?
Yeah, I just realized. I think canonically, the only reason why Ingatink went with Nino on that little was because he like showed up in the middle of the night. It was like, we got to go do something crazy, man. We got to go have one last adventure. So Ingatink is back with the Arasanala party.
Neno, who would you have told that you're going? You're more or less hanging around with Yoshka and Zevek, but would you have mentioned it to anybody else?
Anybody in the back half, I would have told.
Okay. So Zevek knows. Yoshka, you want to keep sticking with the crew and just leaving them there? Okay. Yeah, so you go for a little while, traveling out. When you've gone about as far as you're comfortable going, I was just rolling to see what's going on. About as far as you're comfortable going, somewhere you have not encountered a river at all. Somewhere in the distance, you can hear a tolling of a bell, but it's pretty far away.
Huh.
It's further in the direction you're going and also downstream, so kind of reverse direction.
Behind. Okay. I don't think she would head away from the course of action. So she'll
Okay.
probably turn back and head back in the direction of the party.
All right, as you turn back. Oops, where'd that go? All right. You turn back and you walk back. It's been several hours. Zebek is asking you all about the local fauna, and to the extent that he can find some, the local flora. To the extent that he can find some, the local fauna. Aside from that one bell, you didn't really encounter anything of significance.
So there's still trees and
Right.
bushes and stuff. Or
Everywhere they went, yeah.
okay.
She walked in the direction she expected is probably the direction of the river between Cinderon and Wira.
Okay. Well,
She gets
So
back.
what were the conditions? What were
Sorry,
the
go ahead.
conditions for the party while I had Zevik away?
Mist returned. People were. It was like normal.
There's like 200 people with us. Did they talk about it? Was there a felt difference or?
Yeah, the townspeople in general are slightly uncomfortable with Zebek. He seems to be fine. They trust you guys, especially you, Yoshka, and you've been both the leader and you're charismatic and so forth. But he's weird, for sure, and everything they know how to do, they can't do when he's there. So it's a strangeness, but they do like the mist is they like some elements of the fact that it's brighter. The days for a past generation or so, the old people say it's getting dimmer and dimmer. It's been a little brighter with him here, but that's all. They basically there's a little bit of chatter about that. More they're just focused on the fact that none of them would have expected a few months ago that they would be purposely going to the headwaters. They know it as the place of misery and death and pain and slavery and torment. So it's an oddity for all of them. And so there's a sort of group punctuated with some good-heartedness and good lightheartedness and such.
So Nino does report to the back party and then sends a messenger up to the front party. What you heard about there were bells tolling and they were away. Because that's good intel. That says that they aren't amassing every bell soldier in advance of us.
Yeah, and you had traveled in the direction of the center of Sindaron. Not the center like upstream, downstream, but the center like side to side. You're going across the length of Sindaron. Okay,
Where's the dragon right now?
He has been always traveling sort of alongside the main mass of people on the not river side. So he's the mainland side of the people, almost a kind of serpentine wall.
Can I get his attention?
Yeah, easily. You just walk back 5 minutes and there he is.
Gotcha. I would like to ask him if he would be willing to grab me and crawl up through the trees and see if we can get above the canopy and just see if there's a big city that we're heading towards. Maybe it pokes up above the canopy, or if he doesn't want to take me, he can just go himself.
Yes, little one.
But before we do that, Jared, you're going to say something?
Oh, the party in the front has this experience of hearing some rustling in the bushes and then seeing Yoshka jump out totally naked, but with this branch covering him, and covering like where his boxers would be, and trying to say some inspiring stuff to him using his mantle of inspiration.
Inspiring to who?
Mantle of inspiration, if it works, he's stripped off all his clothes to try to do this and borrowed some magical components from Garriott or someone else nearby because maybe his are contaminated. But if it works, up to 5 creatures that I can see within 60 feet gain 8 temporary hit points.
To the best of your ability to tell, it doesn't work. However, as you're there, you can see Diamondback, and his shoulders are on fire. He's fairly close to you, not like all the way.
How did you do that? Diamondback with the flames.
I believe it is simply the distance from Zebek.
But I'm here with... I didn't take anything that had touched Dasan. And these are borrowed magics. I can help you out a lot if I can. Don't you remember the cool moves I used to pose?
Yes, you were a fearsome warrior. Does it? It seems as though the magic is in the water. You probably drank water. It may still be in your body.
Ah.
I don't know.
And Yoshka goes back.
All right. Belvari, y'all are about halfway to the city, or sorry, you were looking for a city, to the headwaters. You've got about 6 more hours, ballpark, to travel. Lets you climb up on his neck, and he goes up to a tree, and instead of flying above the canopy, he winds himself up through the branches and kind of slithers up until his head emerges from the top, and he's sort of like a periscope looking up from the canopy off of this tree.
Nice.
Yeah. You look around in every direction. The fog is dense. It's normal. The mist is dense. So the distance haze that you see, and this is normal for above the canopy, far off in the distance, it becomes black as night, right? Way in the distance.
Wow.
You see that in every direction. It's bright where you are, but farther and farther away, this dark mist makes it like night. That's all you see right now.
And there's not even like a trunk of a tall tree.
You can see always, sorry, not always. You can frequently tell where there's going to be trees because of the rolling of hills that are largely the root systems of the great trees. You can see that, but the trunks themselves are far enough away from you. An hour or two walk, 2-3 hours, maybe 3-4 hours in any direction is how far you can see above the canopy before it's obscured by darkness.
Gotcha. Okay, I'll just go back.
Cool. And the dragon slithers his way back as well. He thought it was a great idea and was curious.
Nice.
Yoshka also later in the day goes up to the dragon and asks him.
Really
he calls that name out as loudly as he can.
He shouts it
and says, "When we first met you, you spoke of the keepers of the bell. You said the coven is not as great as the keepers of the bell. Will we be fighting them as well?"
He seems a little bit confused and says,
"I do not believe I spoke in such a way. I told you that the bell is the glove worn by the hand of another, the coven."
Ah, I see.
If I had told you of the coven then, it would have meant nothing. You knew the bell.
Yes.
And could think only of the bell.
It is true. Okay, thank you.
So it's getting dark, getting to late. It's getting very dark now. Noon. Fireflies are coming up here and there in the forest. The darkness is... Sorry?
In the morning, can I have walked with my lady and just real politely seen if she'll teach me any spells as we walk together on the road?
Sure.
She knows so many spells.
Roll me a persuasion check.
Groveling check. What's that?
That's right.
Oh
Or
my
animal
goodness.
I'm just kidding.
Diamondback has +0 to all of his charisma related rolls. Okay.
Maybe you'll get a nat 20.
And I have -2 because I'm so tired. Oof. That's gonna be that's gonna end up being a 2.
Okay.
So you step on the tail.
Eesh.
Let's see. Yeah, she teaches you a cantrip that you did not yet previously know.
Ah,
It's called spice and meatball. You take a normal meatball and make a spice and meatball.
In
we're losing you.
I'm
can
sorry,
you
I
hear me?
can't. I didn't hear anything you just said, Sir Robert.
Okay, I turned off my camera. Does that help at all?
Seems
A little
to.
bit.
Okay. It's more of a concession to the fact that you know. I mean, you've been working hard, and she's like, not your eloquent speech that persuaded her.
What did I learn a cantrip?
She teaches. Yeah, let me give it to you. Give me a sec. She teaches you. 1 second here.
Trying to find a bad one.
The way you compliment her is the opposite the way you would compliment somebody holy. So it's like you malicious glare.
Hello, my disgusting majesty.
Hey,
Your gross
tell me what
powerfulness.
tell me what cantrips you already know.
So I'm allowed to have 4 cantrips at this level, and I've got Chill Touch, Gust, Mage Hand, and Toll the Dead.
Based on the way you implored her, she teaches you by example vicious mockery.
Does he receive damage?
Let's see. 1d4. I'm gonna roll and see.
So she's doing an impersonation of Diamondback groveling.
I'm gonna roll a d4, and you'll take a 1 or a 2 is no damage, and a 3 or a 4 will be 1 point of damage from it. Your feelings get hurt. It's a 4. So yeah.
It was a memorable compliment.
But you got it, man. You learned it. You learned
a
it
point
well.
of damage.
That's right.
Are you still alive?
Yeah, I'm still up. I'm still standing, barely.
And now she has implanted a certain trigger word with you.
That's right.
I have seen more
Okay,
dignity among river eels.
He's sorry, not she. It's dark, and by your estimations, the headwaters, whatever that means, should be really close.
I don't like
It's now gotten-
how you said.
It's
I
now
don't
gotten
like.
dark. And it stopped.
I don't like how you said should. That's not the word that I was.
It's just what you do. It's capturing the sense of your ignorance of it.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Inkatink will send up Dragul, his little furry winged friend, to flit about and see if it can perceive anything non-tree-like emerging from the canopy or an opening in the canopy nearby.
And you have 120 feet.
I can communicate with him telepathically within 100 feet, so I'm expecting him to go beyond that range, scout around, and then come back to me.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just reading the thing so I can know.
Okay.
Okay. It flits northward, or not northward. It flits upstreamward, I should say, and goes away, and is gone for about an hour, half an hour. You know, they're not super fast creatures. About an hour, half an hour. In that time, does anybody else want to do anything? The party has stopped. It's gotten dark.
Oh, well, I was thinking we would go like 4 hours into the dark. Based on, okay,
You're at the point where you think
where we would
you're
stop.
probably close.
So, and you said it just got dark? We haven't,
It's been dark for a little while.
okay.
2 hours, let's say,
Okay.
give or take.
Yoshiko would aim to just stick to the plan and travel 4 hours into the darkness, and if we don't see it by then, stop and let some scouts go ahead for another half an hour.
Do you want
find
to
it-
be sending scouts ahead in general as you'll march, or do you want to?
I suppose as we feel like we're getting close, we would want to send the party ahead, kind of like maybe more briskly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have Inkatink and his familiar be kind of the point of the spear there. He's interested in doing that. Inkatink, at some point, your bat on one of these forays out, it comes back, and you know it's every once in a while it'll come back after 20 minutes or something. It'll have nothing. Once it comes back with an olive branch, just kidding. But it goes forward and comes back, and finally at one point it comes back, and instead of communicating to you trees, you get the sense that it communicates to you something like, you can't see what it sees, and it's not very bright. You know, it's not very smart, but it seems to communicate to you something like a cliff going up, not down.
Very good. Okay. He passes on this information and sends it back via runners to the party behind. How far away does he? Does Dragul tell him that this cliff is?
I mean, it's as smart as a bat. You can piece together that it's.
I thought the familiar becomes more intelligent when you summon it as a familiar.
Let me see here. I don't see anything about that in the description. I just skimmed it, but I don't see it. But the point is, you can tell by what it communicates to you and just how long it was gone that it's about 15 minutes as the bat flies. So y'all have this information. There's some kind of cliff in front of you.
Okay, so Diamondback, what I suppose we just want to find all 6 of the Covenant, make sure to kill those 6, although we don't know what they look like. And you want to go in ahead, I suppose?
Well,
If they have a wall like our city, the dragon could at least drop this, 10 of you in there.
to be frank, I expected outlying villages. Expected to have been raiding and pillaging their their farmland and their animals and things by now. But it's very strange. I suppose we should send a human scout to check out the structure.
Nano huffs. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Inkatink also huffs and says, "You don't need a human. You need
Humanoid.
me." Boyd. Inkatink rolls his eyes. Inkatink can fly, and he's got a pretty decent stealth. So I've still got components for expeditious retreat if worse comes to worse. So I think Inkatink would maybe point at Bolvari and say, anyone else stealthy with us? We need
I can
better.
be invisible.
That's pretty
Why
good.
don't we? Why don't we send Tekel and the? I always want to call it Hornwall. What is that city?
Saracon?
And the Saracon hunters over one way. If their city is as big as ours, well, hopefully it's bigger. Then we could come on one side and you could go on the other, and you could do your magics outside of. Well, we would split their forces.
Sorry, the wall, is it like the wall of a city, or is it like the wall that we climbed up to get out of?
What you know right now is that Inkatink's bat familiar, which can only sense the surfaces of things and is as intelligent as a bat, or maybe a little bit more, conveyed to Inkatink, hey, there's some kind of sheer thing ahead of us 15 minutes.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'm gonna go look at it.
Yeah,
I'm just
Nina
gonna-
was also thinking she
gonna-
wants to go look at it. Her imagination goes straight to the kind of wall that was the border of Dasan. And she's thinking, if the rivers are coming out of the headwater, and if the headwater somehow has a wall like that, then there's rivers coming out of the wall, in which case there's rivers going into the wall, and that's underground water territory. So she's going to go find the base of the wall and see if she can find where rivers come out.
No. Allow me to go first, since I can be invisible, just to see it, and I will come back and tell you what it looks like, and then we can plan a little bit better.
She shrugs.
Diamondback, it's pitch black. Do you want to take any kind of light source with you?
Aha! Ho ho! My friend. I take out of my robe of useful things a bullseye lantern. There's a patch on the robe that so I take it out of my bag and I unfold it and I put it on because I don't wear a shirt. And then I pull a patch off of it in the shape of a bullseye lantern, and it becomes in my hand a bullseye lantern, which is a thieves' tool, which makes a very narrow beam of light that I can shutter and make it dark, or I can lift up the little door to let out a little bit of light.
And either way, let's say you're shining it, there would be a spot on the ground 30 or so feet in front of you, but you and the lantern would be invisible. So
Yes.
its source would not be known.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, you make your way. It does not take you long to get to where the bat was. You're traveling actually roughly bat speed in this darkness, but 15-ish minutes from then you arrive. The trees. Here's what you see as you go, and we'll say it for everybody, and you can report back or whatever.
Yeah.
As you're going through the trees, there is a point up ahead at which you see what look to be large boulders, bigger than human size, just big rocks. And as you approach closer, it appears that the trees come pretty much all the way up to these boulders, but then the boulders extend for another maybe 60 feet. They appear to be haphazardly just jumbled, a huge pile of craggy, sharp, rocky stones emerging from the ground, making where you are at the very front of them, they're maybe 6 to 10 feet tall. But as they're piled up, and your gaze, your little beam of light, your circle slides up them, you can see that they are piled against what looks like a large stone wall. This stone wall does not seem to be, well, I'll say it this way. It's not like the wall of your black city that's one big fused protective wall. It is not like the wall of the gray city in the hole, which was well carved and the stones all fit together and sort of that sort of thing. This wall is not dilapidated, but not like super well built, but it's tall. It's really tall. As a matter of fact, shining your lantern with its range of what it has, 120 feet,
Let's see.
60 feet of bright light.
60 feet of bright light, 60 feet of dim, yeah.
As you follow it up, it gets dim before you feel like you got to the top, though it's hard to tell. The stones that are piled up against it are maybe piled in front of you 5 to 10 feet. Up ahead, it looks like if you climbed a good 40, 50 feet up these giant boulders, you would be at the top of the pile, and then the wall stretches up this ugly monstrosity that is possibly, it's hard to tell, but it could be itself just big chunks of other walls mortared together. It's not a coherent and meaningful design as much as it was put in by force over a period of time. It stretches in both directions with little curvature, if any.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, let me say this also.
Mhm.
You know that about a 10 or 15-minute walk to your left, you would hit the river, assuming it's, where you've been walking about 10, 15 minutes inland from it. And an unknown distance to your right, you would eventually come to the next river, you assume, but you don't know how far. It could be really close or it could be really far.
Okay. I would like to not enter the boulder field, staying in the trees. I would like to walk to my right towards the unknown river.
Okay.
Actually, can I, if I look around me where I am right now, do I see, I'd like to find some kind of landmark.
It's just trees and a sort of, there are trees and other such things. There are birds that you can hear among the rocks, the big rocks, the big boulders. You can hear them, and there's a slightly unpleasant smell, but it's not like really strong or putrid or anything. It just doesn't smell great. The birds are largish, and you think they might be carrion feeders, the birds that are in the rocks. There's no meaningful landmark from where you are, at least obvious to you with your bullseye lantern.
Okay. Gosh. I would like to, because I'm afraid I'm not a ranger.
But you know someone who is.
Yeah, but they're not invisible. But I haven't seen anybody. When I look at the wall, do I see any windows? Do I see any guards or any evidence of living people?
You don't, but you can't see the top of the wall, and that would speak to a certain level of design or architecture that this wall does not seem to have.
Okay. In that case, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stand among some of the smaller rocks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes. Here's what I'm going to do. This might not be a great idea, but I think it's going to be great. I'm going to cast me. I'm standing among some like loose rocks and boulders, some of the smaller ones, because they get bigger as they go closer to the wall, right?
At least they're piled up. So who knows if the
Okay.
actual rock are bigger. But the small ones here are a good 5 or 6 feet tall. So they're
Whoa.
big old boulders.
Well, we'll see what you think about this. I'm going to stand among the smallest rocks I can find, and I'm going to cast Thunder Wave.
Okay.
And this has some effects. A wave of thunderous force sweeps out from me. Each creature in a 15-foot cube originating from me must make a Constitution saving throw. On a failed saving throw, it's going to take 2d8 thunder damage, pushed 10 feet away from me. In addition, unsecured objects that are completely within the area of effect are automatically pushed 10 feet away from me by the spell's effect. And the spell emits a thunderous boom audible out to 300 feet. So I'm going to set off, boom, thunder wave. And then
So stealthy.
I'm hoping that this is going to create a kind of crater. And I'm going to go 60 feet into the forest from that crater. And then I'm going to watch.
Sure. You create that thunder wave.
Do the rocks move? Do I make a crater?
Sorry, one second. Josh, what were you saying?
I was going to say, so presumably somewhere nearby. So when that happens, I think Inkatink immediately takes off into the sky and flies to the top of the wall. And
I don't think you're 300 feet. I don't think you're within 300 meters.
You and I had gone out as part of the scouting party, right? On one side.
I thought I was
other
alone.
folks had gone on the other.
No. Before we haven't done that yet. This is me going first to see beforehand before Neno and the scouts come to check it out. Because I can be invisible.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Inkatink was planning on going out with you, even though you can be invisible. Inkatink can fly and has good natural stealth. So I think Inkatink is somewhere off.
I tried to go alone.
Okay, I didn't realize that. Okay, never mind. Yeah. Forget it.
Diamondback, you do this. The larger rocks near you wobble and shake and might fall over a little bit or something. Some of the smaller bits of rubble amidst the rocks go flying, and you can hear them scatter, like shot against the stone wall. You hear the squawking of birds, largish birds, and it doesn't make like a crater exactly as much as you've shaken the part around you. Some bits and pieces went flying a little bit. Small rocks that were there wedged in or something. You go to stand 60 feet back and watch. Sorry?
I got better.
And so, you don't see anything. You watch for a few minutes, don't see anything.
I wait and watch for a few minutes more. I'll watch for 10 minutes total. Just
nothing.
Completely still, watching this crater, watching everything around, sweeping my light, listening carefully.
There's nothing.
Okay. I'm going to use flaming sphere to burn a tree.
Mm-hmm.
It lasts for a minute. It ignites flammable things. It does 2d6 fire damage. I think I can pretty much like obliterate a tree and turn it into a smoking stump and make a whole lot of light and crackling noise.
You do so.
Okay. I watch for 5 minutes. Does anything come?
No, the tree smolders and kind of it dies down, but the fire on it kind of dies down a bit, but there's no
Okay.
visible response.
I want to walk for 10 minutes towards the unknown river to my right.
Okay. You walk for about 10 minutes, which is ballpark like a quarter mile, and there's no meaningful difference to you.
Do I see? I don't see any opening in the wall.
Nope.
Okay. I don't come to the river.
Nope.
I go 5 more minutes in the same direction.
Still no meaningful difference. You've now been gone for almost an hour.
45 minutes.
Great. I count that as almost an hour.
Okay. Now I walk 15 minutes, the remainder of my invisibility, back to my landmarks.
Just 10 minutes back in the direction you came and then south? Or
No,
not
it's,
south, but back towards
I've
the party.
gone 15 minutes from the landmarks I created.
Oh, okay. That's right. Because you did 10 and then 5.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. You go back and you go back to where you were. You find the now smoldering char of tree.
Awesome. And my invisibility runs out at about this time, and I
Yep.
sneak back the way I came to our group and report everything that I found and did.
Here's what he saw. No, I'm just kidding.
Just then, a small family of squirrels huddling together, weeping, crying. The small one says, "My mother, why did our home burn?"
Okay, well, it sounds like maybe the dragon should ferry us up. Do you want magics to go first or anti-magics?
Over the wall?
Yeah. That's what we came for.
You do know, according to the lore that you have, that I'm not suggesting anything alternative. Just I'm responding to Matt saying over the wall that there is a way through the wall at the rivers. Probably that's how they get stuff in through the rivers.
Ah, okay.
But I'm not saying you should. I just
Okay.
this is something you would know.
Wait a minute.
Somehow the Iron Bell gets stuff into the headwaters,
Yeah.
and they use the river to ferry.
We still
John.
have an almighty disgusting pile of mold earth, so we could make a tunnel and go under.
Why not through?
How very divisive.
Because we don't have mold stone. That's a higher level spell.
Mold
We don't
earth
have
won't do
stone shape.
Yeah.
But we can go under.
I've got a few ways of making a little bit of dent in stone, but it's not going to be for a wall this tall. There's no way my stuff is going to take us all the way through to the other side of the wall. We're going to have to
I'm
find a
pretty sure
door
that-
or go over.
Pretty sure that mold earth would not dig a tunnel under a wall.
Right. I've got
Why
other
not?
stuff.
What's it? I mean, you can use
If
it
you
to.
target an area of loose earth, you can excavate. If dirt or stone you target is on the ground, you cause it to become difficult terrain. The dirt underneath the wall is not loose earth.
Yeah.
That's a
Nino's
very-
eager to go find the river, the
Could be a
Syndrome
very
river
light
temple
wall.
entrance.
Is this a feather wall? Because if it is, I'll just push through it.
No. I think we can't get through it.
Why don't we go over it?
Well, one reason is the dragon probably can't carry all of us. So maybe we could take one. No, and I think it's a great idea for us all to. Well,
That's true.
how many
We'll
how many
probably
people
have-
can the dragon carry?
I just rolled for it and rolled a 10.
Why don't the anti-magics? We have how many people do we have? Like a good 100 of the
You've
200.
all combined, you're right in the neighborhood of 175.
I think we will with Zevik. We will have a good surprise on just taking the main entrance, and I think it would be a better surprise to come with anti-magic than with magic.
Hmm. So while the anti-magic go through the door, the dragon can ferry the magic party up and over the wall 10 at a time, because there are like less than 20 of us, right?
Not many of us.
Yeah.
It's like I've got like 9 skeletons and 9 acolytes and Inkatink and Belvari and Arasanala.
And-
So it's
and a
like
total of you.
3
so
trips
22.
or something.
Yeah.
I suppose also the 150 you said.
Mhm.
I would want to have like sorted out who, like Gary. It's an example of I don't imagine him having a bow and arrow. He would probably want to go with the magic people, and anybody else who's more like that
Yeah.
inclined.
Most people are not trained fighters, and almost everybody here always uses magic for any meaningful work.
That's right. So it's like almost all of them. It's
Yeah.
like 140.
They know how to swing a
magics.
stick in a fight because who can't swing a stick? But they're not skilled in any meaningful way. The hunters can hunt, which means they can shoot a bow and arrow reasonably well, though they're just as happy, and maybe more so, to gather components and use magic missile to kill their prey because it doesn't miss. So nobody here is like really a fighter. That's not how this world is, except for a couple of you now. And you, Sevik, Neno, Talon's back there doing whatever he's doing, but
Havik and Neno could go in through the main door and call to the dragon for help if we need it.
the dragon can ferry everybody and maybe all the other people in maybe 17 trips, which is a lot of trips for a dragon trying to stealth over over a wall.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while too.
Yeah.
But we must remember.
And sorry, and dragons are not quiet when they fly. They have wings that go.
Does the lichess have like mold stone or stone shape or?
I'll ask her.
She has ways of getting in Belvari. I mean, Diamondback. She tells you when you inquire. I'm going to say it as though you've talked to her and whatever. She does not have meaningful ways to get everybody in, nor is she exactly interested in that. And she won't go in without everybody because, she's not just going to go in to die.
Typical.
I submit myself to her and ask her what she thinks we should do.
Okay. I actually have her, give me a second. Let me get her spell list.
And also, we should ask the dragon what the dragon would like to do. These are wise and ancient beings.
Yeah.
Neno wants to find the ground level entrance.
He's older than the dragon.
Say it again, Andrew.
Oh, Neno wants to find the ground level entrance. All of this plotting doesn't make any sense if we can't find a way in at ground level.
Yeah.
I mean, at least it'll cut our options way down if we can't get in at ground level.
Give me 1 second. I will tell you. Let's see. Diamondback. Here's what she tells you. Players, you can listen to this, but your characters don't know anything about it. It's nothing crazy, but Diamondback. Arasanala tells you she doesn't talk to anybody else, right? Arasanala tells you that she can very easily herself and you and several acolytes through the wall. That's not a problem. But sorry, let's see. And also, and she, when she says that, she indicates she means something like through the wall rather than over, under, around, whatever. She's just basically says, the wall is nothing. But she can do it for maybe, for herself and 8 others. I'll just say she tells you. Diamondback, I'll just tell you, she's used, that would be with plane shift. She thinks probably your best bet is she's really wary of the coven finding out about her. In her estimation, she will be a high priority target, and so she wants to have a lot of fodder around her if she's going in.
So she wants to be in the big group?
Not necessarily in the group, but there to be plenty of group around. Taking attention. That said,
Shield's in front of her. You know about that, Diamondback.
She's
definitely.
So just real quickly, she says it from the perspective of, this is her perspective, right? Like, hey, I'm willing to go in here because something's got to happen with this coven, but like not without plenty of fodder to absorb damage. The dragon tells you similarly, or sort of similarly, he thinks flying over it is an unwise idea. He's flying up it, over it, whatever. The main reason being it's in no way stealthy. To take everybody would be 15, 20 trips, and he hasn't been this close to it in centuries. Is not super interested. And if there were some kind of meaningful attack against him while he's flying people, he and everyone he's carrying, if he's killed, will just plummet to their deaths. And that's just not, he doesn't think that's a great way to do it. They don't have specific opinions, but they do know that humans and orcs and humanoids go through, because the Iron Bell delivers stuff in the river. They have both heard that too. They're not exactly advocating for it because it's also the well-guarded route or whatever, presumably, but the other options don't seem great to them.
So Inkatink chimes in and says, perhaps there is another way in. And he reaches into his bag of holding and he pulls out a lantern of revealing. And you see that he lights it up and he says, Diamondback, can you be invisible, please? And as he shines the light over, Diamondback's hand or whatever, maybe he uses prestidigitation to make his hand look like it's not there. As soon as the lantern light goes over it, it reveals it. So he offers the lantern and says, maybe there's a hidden way in.
Nice.
So, and I'll just tell you all what a lantern of revealing does. This is just the description. It burns for 6 hours on a pint of oil, which you do have, pint of oil, shedding bright light for 30-foot radius, dim light for an additional 30 feet, so 60 feet. Invisible creatures and objects are visible in this light. You can use an action to lower the hood, and it reduces it to about a 5-foot radius. So this makes invisible things visible.
Right.
Well, Dragon, would you rather than be in the anti-magic or outside of it when you go in? I don't know if arrows can pierce your scales or think your strength is.
It makes no difference to me. My jaws can bite and claws can catch. Leave the domain of the strange one. quickly at will.
Okay.
Okay.
It's shaping
I
up. So
think-
the dragon and Zevek are one party. Arasanala and magic users in another.
Note
I
to
think
self, the
perhaps
dragon
for
is
an
planning
entrance-
to abandon us.
I think perhaps for an entrance, Zevek and I should stay back. I think the gate will be guarded, but not heavily. And if we can have the magics of 150, that will beat the maybe 20 guards at one gate. Once you can punch a hole in, send someone back, and then we can come in just as their forces start to gather around you. We can come in and take the front. As long as it's clear, there are only 6 who must die. And I think all 6 of the coven must die. If one escapes, that would be bad news.
Yoshka chimes in. Oh, sorry, Yoshka asks Zebek. What we talked about what Arasanala said and what the dragon said. Diamondback suggested talking to Arasanala, but Yoshka added, helpful too. So here's his input. First of all, he's in a great mood.
Love that guy.
He thinks so far, aside from it being apparently very dire and everything, this is all really cool. So he's like having a good time, except for, people are on edge. But his suggestion is, how about if he and a couple people, and he kind of knows you and Neno, so he says you and Neno, but it could be anybody, go look and see what's at the gate.
Sounds good to me.
That his suggestion is, let's scout it out before making a plan or something like that.
Yeah, send some more scouts.
And don't we have that torch that can only be seen by the person holding it?
Oh yeah. I suppose I'll want to give that to somebody who's here. Sevek.
And
He's also
Inkatink,
happy to go by himself. He's not. Sorry, one of the things that might be a little disconcerting to everybody, except for Yoshka and Neno, is when Sevek, I guess Sevek doesn't come close to Arasanala because she doesn't want to, but he has an odd sort of attitude where he says, Inkatink, Toll, Belvari, Diamondback, when he's talking and he's giving his plan, he volunteers things like, I'm happy to go check it out, or I can see what's on top of the wall. Whatever. I'm here. I'm here to help, so let me help. He's volunteering to do alone or with somebody. He just wants to be helpful and kind of in the mix.
What happens when Diamondback says, yes, there's a way that you can be very helpful. Kill all 6 of the coven right away.
He basically, Sevek says, okay, I don't know how I would do that exactly. I'm not even sure who they are. Also, no offense, but it's not obvious to me what evil they've done. I mean, I hear all of your reports, and I'm not doubting you. I came here to help all of you learn how to garden. If it comes time for that, I'm very willing to do what I can, but that seems needlessly aggressive from what I understand so far, from my own experience.
I will ask this then. So Diamondback's responding this way because he seems to have heard him volunteer to do something that seems impossible, like just jump over the wall and go in there and do whatever we need done. Things that Diamondback himself can't necessarily do.
Yeah, he's offering to see what's on the wall, not like go in and do the whole mission or anything like that. But go ahead.
But well, I mean, I want to understand what he's saying. Is he sort of talking as though there are things possible for him that aren't possible
Oh,
for the
I
rest
see.
of us?
Yeah, you ask, how would you look at what's on the wall? And he says, well, we could just climb it. When I was with Yoshka and Neno, we climbed a tall wall,
It's true.
a cliff. It was very tall. It took a couple of days to get up. I don't think this one was probably that tall if it's just a wall built by people.
That's right.
Okay, yeah. So Diamondback does pursue this line of questioning, and he says, they are in such a state that fighting folk under their command killed everyone that I know, orphaning me upon this hard world. If you think that you can garden that out of existence, I don't need them dead. I need them never to do anything like that ever again.
Inkatink leans over and says, "Me too, by the way. Orphaned."
Yeah. So he nods solemnly, like appreciating the gravity of what you've said. He certainly isn't. It's not lost on him. Like he sees that you're saying something real, more real than like it's unpleasant. And he says, Neno once asked me, what are you? And I told her I'm a gardener. And as we talked more, I offered to show the people. It sounds to me as though your masters, or whatever you call them, the coven, are terrible gardeners. They have this big land with its resources, and they do terrible things with it. And I would like to show you all how to garden your own land better, or show them how to garden land better in a peaceable way. I'm not trying to do the gardening myself, but I know a lot about it. I've done it for a long time, and I'm very happy to teach anyone who would like to learn how to live peaceably with their surroundings. Yoshka and Neno saw it's very possible.
He does have a nice garden.
When with this weed in the garden, there has been no peace.
I understand, and I understand that's why we're here. I don't need to do anything my way. I'm just offering. I think I could probably tell who or what is at the entrance to this river door gate that you have talked about, with maybe without being detected, or maybe I don't know what's there. Also, I am good at climbing. In my land, there's a lot of, I climbed a lot.
You're right. And I like your way better than our way. Why don't we just go talk to the people, if there's any, at the gate? I'll go with you.
Sepik seems to think that going and talking to the people at the gate seems like a good idea.
Inkatink produces a ring of water walking and says, if anyone wants to run up the river into the city, here's an option. And he kind of flicks it up into the air with his thumb and holds it out to anyone who wants it.
And Sebek happily takes it and says, may I?
Inkatink snatches it away and says, you may not.
Okay, let's go.
Diamondback will ask Arasanala for permission to go with them. Arasanala is obviously going to want to stay behind, but
she's willing if either you or Inkatink, one of you or Inkatink should stay. Inkatink in your stead.
Inkatink, if you would like to go, I will stay with Our Lady.
Neno overhears this. She's hovering quite a bit of ways, but she overhears this, and her heart swells. It's a generous act that Diamondback has just done. She's wondering if she's seen that before. He's growing up.
Inkatink kind kind of, you see him turn his head and he says, "You pick."
I have the message spell, and so I may be able to communicate back. If I can get out of Zebek's anti-magic range, I may be able to communicate back with the main group if I'm the one who goes. It may be more useful.
Inkatink hands you a potion of spider climbing and a ever smoking bottle.
And Yoshka starts walking towards the river with Zevik and presumably Neno. If she's not already coming, Yoshka assumes she is. If not, he'll call her and say, "Neno, would you come?"
Nendo is absolutely coming. She's trying to stay away to keep a buffer between her and the magic thingies, just in case she poisons them like she seems to be doing.
Okay.
Diamondback follows, and he, when the flames on his shoulders go out, as they probably already are because I've been talking, but he puts on he puts on his cloak.
Okay. Yeah. So, Toll, are you going? You staying? Belvari, are you going to go or stay?
I'll go.
I'll stay.
Okay. Inkatink and Belvari stay.
Inkatink hands Toll a potion of hill giant strength.
Okay. So as you you walk straight towards the river, so not 15 minutes towards the wall, so then and then along the wall to the river, but rather straight towards the river, and then you can go up the river. You can see the entrance, presumably. It's dark, but you've got the lights that you're carrying. It's not as dark as it could be with your lights. A little bit of light goes a further way because Zebek is there. Basically, you get to the river and you see it, and up ahead, just pretty far into the night there, you can see the wall as a sort of vague silhouette, and over the river is an archway in the wall that appears to have some kind of firelight recessed into the arch. It's far enough away that you can't meaningfully make out any details, but you can like see there's in this sort of way you would see an illuminated window in a cabin, at night far away, right? A couple of hills over.
Yoshka, as soon as he sees that, Yoshka will say to Zevik, but loud enough so that everybody else who's here can hear. Okay, so you can go first, Zevik. We will defer to you, and we will not attack until you attack. Is that what you want?
He laughs.
Last time.
What was last time?
We didn't understand with the two-headed one.
Oh, sure. Yes. Yeah, that sounds fine. Let's see what we can do. Do you think it would be better if I just approached and said hello? Or you seem to think that these people are quite aggressive. Perhaps I should try to sneak in and see what I can see? What do you think is better, Yoshka?
I think they are thinking in terms of a fight.
Okay. Why don't I sneak and see what I can see?
Okay.
So let's roll for him stealth.
And Yoshka will explain to Toll. Toll, last time we met a monster, somehow he just talked to it, and then things were okay. It is his magic. It is very different. Neno took a good shot at him, and it was against what he was doing.
Toll is going to look slightly disappointed and nod.
If anybody would like to go To be stealthy, please roll your stealth. Zevek slips into some shadows and moves ahead, occasionally letting a little bit of light show in his hand backwards so that you all can get a glimpse of where he is. He seems to be sticking to the riverbank and walking along a couple hundred feet ahead of you.
My stealth check is not good. It's only 8.
Okay,
Am I in bright light right now? It's dark, right?
it's very dark. If, as a matter of fact, it's pitch black unless you have a light.
Okay.
Sorry, and Yoshka, if y'all follow far enough behind, has a torch that can have a black light on it for 4 people, and there are 4 of you here.
Stealth.
Okay,
Yeah, we can all hold on to the torch. That's fine. We've done it
Yeah.
before. We're used to it.
you'll need to stay about 300 yards away from Zevek, which is not very far. That's like a quarter mile. You'll be able to see him.
It's like down to the stop sign.
Yeah, something like that. Not even actually.
Okay.
It's not even that far.
I guess that'll be. Yoshka is of 2 minds because it's like he wants to try to help him protect Zevek, but also he's just nowhere near his level of skill, and he thinks he might be a hindrance to him if he tries to sneak up near him. So I think he's going to stay. Okay.
Nena's pretty sure she wouldn't be a hindrance, and she is pretty sure that touching the magic light thing would break the light thing. However, she just rolled a nat 1 with her bonus gives her a 3.
I think
So-
Yoshka's going to hang. Yoshka's going to hang back far enough, he's not looking for the torch to work, but far enough that it's like sounds he makes won't mess up Zavak.
And did y'all discuss this or deliberate?
I suppose that's just what I'm going to start doing.
Okay.
And then they can do stuff too, or say, hey, let's do this instead.
Okay. No, your intuition is correct. Diamondback and Toll can use the Circle of the Night Watch, but whenever, if y'all are fully dressed, if you two are within a few dozen yards of them, the torchlight flares bright. So for y'all to be within a couple dozen yards isn't going to work.
So we could give it to them to trail behind, and then we could be kind of in between. I just want to be pretty close so I could run up and help if it looks like he's getting totally outnumbered.
Mm-hmm.
And
So-
Yoshka has his little handkerchief out. He's kind of dancing in the air.
Great. So not Toll. Y'all walk for, like I said, it's in the distance there. You're guessing it's going to take you 20 minutes to like walk there at a normal walking pace. You start walking and you're trying to make sure that you're a good distance from Zevek just in case he is doing his stuff. And as you walk you get about halfway approximately. You're sneaking in the shadows on the base of the river, on the bank of the river. You get about halfway to there, and you can't make out Zevek anymore. Now you can see that there's a stone archway over the river, and it's kind of a tunnel, so it's got some thickness to it. That's not, it's not like 10 feet thick. It's got enough that and is illuminated with torches in several spots.
Okay. Yoshka's gonna at as fast as he can go quietly, which is maybe normal movement speed.
Yeah, probably.
Try to tiptoe dash up to the archway and kind of be in the darkness behind it, just listening and waiting.
So it's very hard to get that way because the piled But so you're kind of, if you're going to get close to the entrance, you're going to go either, you're pretty much going to go onto the river or climb up on the rocks where you can be seen. You can wait past the rocks, but you like before you get onto the rocks.
And we didn't hear him go in the water or anything.
You didn't, no.
Okay.
And he was pretty far ahead of you.
He wouldn't have gone in the water. He would have boulder climbed. Nino, however, is totally fine wading in the water.
Oh yeah, she would like that. I suppose then Yoshiko will try to quietly wade in the water with Neno.
If you go around where the boulders are,
Yeah, if the banks aren't too steep.
you can do that for sure. If you get to within probably about 100 feet of the entrance, you'll be illuminated by the torchlight.
I suppose then staying in the dark would be the priority.
You've gone up the river a little bit. You kind of in the water, off trying to be the most stealthy. It's been several minutes, and you've made your way pretty close. And Sevek pops his head out of the water and wipes the water off of his face and eyes, and says, "There actually weren't very many people."
Huh.
He climbs out of the water and is dripping wet.
How many were there? And were they guards? Were they armed?
I counted 4, and they were sitting at a table talking.
Okay.
I don't know if they were armed or not. They said, "How long has it?" They said, "Has the marching begun?" And then another one said, "I don't know, but they started gathering several days ago." I couldn't hear much else.
Diamondback's like, uh-oh.
I think you have a chance at talking to them. People in our village, in the villages we passed, people would be captured and forced into the Iron Bell. I don't think they're fighting on this side for the love of their master, but for fear of him.
Would you like me to go talk to them?
I suppose so. Shall we come?
I don't know. It's okay with me.
Nino intends to come.
Let's do it.
Okay. So, Diamondback, Toll, are y'all going to go with them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Diamondback?
Yes.
Okay. So Sevek tells you, so inside the tunnel, the walls are sheer. They're very straight. We can climb up from the water, but the place where the little walkway where they stand is about 15 feet above water level. And then they've got some tables and such that they're there. So if we swim under the water or, at the water level and get to below where they are, then we can climb up the wall and be at their place. That's the only way I saw to get in very well.
Yoshika turns to Diamondback. Diamondback, do you agree not to attack before Zevek does? This is your
Yes.
chance to see his magic. Okay.
I wish to see it.
So Zevek, followed by the 4 of you, slip into the water and slowly begin to swim into the entrance of the headwaters, the massive stone wall and the tunnel illuminated at night that is the way in to where all tributes are taken, all children and slaves, the beasts and the undead, magic, where the Iron Bell go to restore their resources, where they come into your world and take away everything good. You swim towards that entrance, ready to see what's inside. That's where we'll end this episode. It is
Wow, it is 10.
10. we'll pick up next time with the hilarious exploits of Yoshka and his friendly five. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks you guys for playing. We're getting right to the good bits. And have a good night. You can find out more about us and the stuff we're doing at Starfall Collective